I think this photo is important because it reminds people that this happened, and this is how it happened. This is what it looked like. Yes, this photo specifically is capturing a moment from a flashbang, but those were flashbang grenades that were going off on the steps of the US Capitol to clear a crowd that was violently attacking. That's tear gas wafting into the air underneath the dome of the Capitol of the United States. My name is Leah Millis. I'm a senior photographer with Reuters, based out of Washington, D.C.
Say his name. George Floyd.
Last year was a very busy news year. I covered a lot of protests across the country. I covered it across political and ideological spectrums. At the end of the year, people were falsely claiming that the election had been stolen, though it had not, and people were organizing around that falsehood. There were a few rallies that happened in D.C. Thousands of Trump supporters were showing up.
And we must occupy the state capitals and the United States Capitol until the state legislatures in the swing states give their electoral college votes for President Trump and give him 4 more years. 12 more years.
And these Stop the Steal rallies kind of culminated with American citizens attacking the US Capitol on January 6th, which is a day that I also covered. We were expecting some kind of violence that day. We didn't know what it would be. We were really concerned that it would be something serious like a shooting or a bombing or something. We had no idea that the day would go the way that it went. I never could have imagined people actually being able to get into the US Capitol. I basically spent the whole day on the west side. Photographing the fighting, the hand-to-hand combat with police like I've never seen in my whole career. I've never seen that sustained combat with police, between civilians and police, that wasn't immediately broken up by tons and tons of tear gas and munitions. I was expecting that, and there was not very much of that at all. Flashbangs got thrown into the crowd and people just cheered. I made a decision to climb this center scaffolding that had been erected for the inauguration, so it was perfectly centered in front of the Capitol. And I remember putting my hands, on the cold metal of this ladder and noticing that the ladder was really cold because it was January, but that my hands were on fire because they were so saturated. My whole body was so saturated with bear mace and other chemicals that were sprayed from police, from protesters. So I was climbing the scaffolding and just thinking to myself, don't fall. So I got up there. Sure enough, I could see the battle going on at this central door. And I think I was up there for about an hour. That's when these reinforcements came in to help. And they started to clear the crowd with tear gas and flashbangs. At that point, I thought I need to get down, but before I got down, I took some wide images of the scene. And covering DC, it's like drilled into your head to get the Capitol in the photo, get the context of the Capitol. You know, that's what was so crazy about that day, was that this was happening at the US Capitol. Because I was standing on the scaffolding, I was able to get a little bit of cell phone service, which I did not have for most of the time I was out there. I was out there for 6 or 7 hours that day. I was trying to send photos, and I was looking through the back of my camera, and of course, this image popped out, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Send. There's some controversy over this photo. I think it's because a lot of it, I think, just stems from people not understanding photography. So I think people talk about that photo as like it's overblown, or it's, you know, it doesn't represent the scene. But if you think about a thunderstorm and you see a photo of a lightning strike, that's a very dramatic photo. And it's dramatic because our eyes don't freeze that moment. We just see a flash of light. But when you freeze it, as photography does, you see that power behind it. You know the power because you can hear the bang and the boom behind it during a thunderstorm. So I think that's kind of the way that I see that photo, is that, you know, it is a flash, it's a moment, but it, you know, these are flashbang grenades being deployed to break up a violent crowd that are trying to break into the US Capitol. And this is reality.
USA! USA!
This is what happened that day. There's always going to be people who don't want to look at that reality. They don't want to face that reality.
Not tolerating fake news no more!
I think images like this, and like the images that came from my colleagues that were out there that day, remind us that photojournalism is very much alive and well. And is very important for democracy and for showing the world the truth, even if it's incredibly painful to look at.